work. But let's start with what's happening in past few months. It seems like the world changed quite significantly. There is a nice picture of the difference between the world in 2019 and 2020. And as you know, a lot of us switched from Homo sapiens to Homo fis, which we are now most of the time spending at. And also, it seems like the main driver of last months in digital transformations of
Můžu?
companies wasn't CEO, it wasn't CTO, it
Tak
was
jo.
COVID-19. And it
Tak jo, jsem začala. Tak já na ní ťuknu.
okay. I can hear Eliška, sorry.
Okay.
So it was COVID-19, sorry about that. And it seems like we suddenly appeared in the digital era. Everything is becoming digital. More and more things have to be switched to digital, and we are connecting more digitally than we did in previous months and years. So what can we do in this new era, and how to stay happy even in this era? This is the topic of today's speech. But I will start talking about myself a little bit to give you a little background story. So this is me more than 10 years ago. This is me, more recent photo with my two daughters. But about 12 years ago, I actually started IT company. It was called InMind, and we've been simplifying today's world with technologies of the future. That's what we said about our company. We founded it with two friends in 2008, and the thing we started doing is mobile apps. That's actually the time when we also started mdevcamp conference, which we are part of today. And when we started the company, it was an IT company. We thought it's mostly about the programming. We thought the code is the core of the company, and it's all around the code. But suddenly, we as software engineers were surprised by finding that it's not as much about the code as it is about the people inside the company. And we started focusing on the people in our company so much that I started calling myself chief happiness officer of our company. And that's what I did for past 12 years. What we did to make people happier in our IT company, we, for example, built a snowman every winter on our roof, or we focused on transparency inside the company. We wanted to have everyone part of the decisions inside the company, and to let people decide, they needed to have information. That's why we have been very transparent and open about all information we had in the company. As open and transparent as that we let people even set their own salaries. Everyone was rating his colleagues, and based on those ratings, on peer-to-peer basis, we set the salaries for everyone in the company. And it seems like we've been quite successful. We work with the biggest companies in the Czech Republic. We've been awarded, we've been the first company in Czech Republic to get top developer badge on Google Play. And at that time, it was 10 years ago, and awarded by Deloitte. And we've been in magazines and in news, and even in Forbes, there was an article about our formula for setting the salaries. So we've been famous not only for the apps we built, but also for how we worked in the company. We grew to about 40 people in 2014. And that's where the story of our company changes, because that's where our company was bought by Avast, much bigger company. We've been acquired, and we became part of Avast, which is global security company you probably know. This is actually the selfie, that term we invented during the selling of our company. Selfie with double L. It is the selfie you do after you sell something. So this is exactly the moment when we sold our company and we did our very own selfie. And I became the CHO, Chief Happiness Officer at Avast. Avast was a little different game. It wasn't 40 people, it was 650 people. And it was different in many things. Like, for example, our winter team building, as you remember, was building a snowman on the terrace. The team building in Avast was hiring a private jet and flying to Tromsø to take pictures of polar lights. And Avast also builds in people some expectation that happiness can be bought by the company, and company will make happiness for me. There is a professional gym, but maybe the gym is not as important as just people going out and running together. There is a canteen with unlimited food, which is nice, but much more important part of this is that there is a place where people can meet each other, the place where is the heart of the company. And it actually, the company is highly successful in all areas, which makes it maybe even more difficult for building happiness at work, because it makes people think that, okay, happiness is going to be delivered and bought for us, but it's not the way it works. After 2 years in Avast, just to finish my story, I packed my whole family to a little sabbatical to have a little different perspective. And we traveled around the world. This is my favorite part of the presentation, with kids traveling around the countries. And we've seen many places on Earth, as well as companies. That was my part of the trip. I wanted not only enjoy the time with my kids, but also visit some companies and see how they work. What is their perspective on happiness at work and topics like that. And let me show a couple examples of the companies I visited. One of them was Atlassian. You maybe know products of Atlassian. They do Jira and Confluence. Maybe you use them. And Atlassian is also a great company from inside. Actually, the guy here on the picture with me is Dom Price, and his job title is work futurist. His full-time job is to think and prepare Atlassian for the future of work. How is it going to work? And they have some nice results. You can check out that there is actually even the website which is called Team Playbooks in Atlassian, with many tips and tools which can help you build happier teams, or teams that work better inside the companies. There were many more stops during my travels. Like, for example, in Danish company SEB Pension, which is banking company actually. And when they've been thinking about the ways how to make people happier, there is many elements of doing that, and I will share those in a while. But one of the things they focused on is, for example, motivating people to have walking meetings, which is a meeting you do while walking, not sitting behind the desk. And to motivate people to do more walking meetings, what they did is they prepared maps for walking meetings for each kitchenette. And whenever you wanted to go for a walking meeting, you just grabbed the map, and there was a map for 15-minute meeting, map for 30-minute meeting, and so on. So it was very easy for people to just walk outside and have meetings somewhere else than inside the office, which works, and I will tell you why in a while. And it seems like even biggest world leaders are actually doing walking meetings, as you can see on this picture. My story ends in nowadays, when I'm mostly part of the conferences we are organizing. One of them is mdevcamp, the other is Happiness at Work conference that we are preparing for this October. We don't know what is the world going to look like in October, but we'll see. We hope the conference is happening this year again. And I actually started a company which is called Happiness at Work, which is my main focus for past 4 or 5 years. So why should we even care about happiness at work? Shouldn't we be happy outside of work and just make some money at work? I think that's not a very good point of view, because actually, if you think about that, during your lifetime you spent 80,000 hours at work, which is quite a lot. And as we see in many surveys, most of the people at work, they feel like this, not very happy, not very satisfied with the time they are spending. And actually, the work is the second most common thing we do in our lives. The first one being sleeping, the second one being the time spent at work. And most of the people, most of the time, spend those 80,000 hours by just daydreaming, thinking about what is coming in the future, thinking about vacation and holiday, and thinking about weekends finally, and not focusing at work, and just surviving the time at work, which doesn't seem to be a right way to spend 1/3 of your life. Actually, in many companies, people just walk into the company at 9 a.m. in the morning. They put on their professional suit, and then they are professionals for 9 hours. After 8 hours, they just put down the suit, and they are human beings again. And they are living two different lives, which is actually impossible. It's just one human being that is coming to work in the morning, and one human being that is leaving the work after those 8 hours. And it's impossible to disconnect those things. That's why I actually don't like naming it work-life balance, because it seems like that there is one part of life is work and the other is life, and it's disconnected. It's not. However you feel at work, it will have influence on you at home, and vice versa. That's why we actually cannot say happiness at work, or divide it by happiness at work and happiness at home. It's just one happiness, one human being, one man, one woman. And good news is that there is more and more studies showing that happier people have better lives, actually. Happiness at work, not only at work, influences creativity, productivity, loyalty, even health. There have been studies showing that happier people are more healthy in their lives, during their lives. And there have been many studies looking at companies from higher point of view. For example, this one, which is comparing 100 best employers in the US compared to stock stock value of 3,000 companies on Russell 3000 index. And as you can see, during 18 years between 1996 and 2018, was it? There was growth in both those segments, the best companies and average companies in the US, but the best employers grew 3 times more faster than average company, which seems to be a great argument for focusing on happiness at work, if nothing else. And there is a huge paradox, because the things that actually makes us happier at work are not the things that we can buy for money. And science showed that. And we have many studies in positive psychology, neuroscience, and other connected fields. But we are not using this knowledge in our work lives, which is unfortunate, because the gap is still not getting smaller. There is something we know, something we apply at work, and a huge gap in between, which we should try to make smaller as our knowledge is growing as humankind. There is more and more companies who knows that and who are doing some things about around building human-centric workspaces, let's say. But it's not majority yet. It's changing, but very slowly. So how to become happier at work? What can you do? What are the elements that will make us happier at work? There are 4 main things we should focus on, and we should actually keep balance between those 4 things. And those are, on one side, it's the results. We need to feel that we are part of something bigger, that we can be internally motivated at work. This is one of key parts of us being happy at work. The second thing is relationships. Having someone close at work, being close to someone, and having gratitude and kindness at work. This is the second part out of 4. The third part, or third element that will make us happier at work, is growth and habits. This is the way how actually start building better relationships and start focusing on the results and meaning by building little habits. It's not about doing a huge change and changing your life upside down. It's more about changing little things and making them consistently change, just by little, but very consistently in the long term. And the last one is health, which seems to be the bottom line, the thing where everything starts. If we are not healthy at work, or at home, it's very difficult to focus on all those other things. And we'll now dive a little bit deeper into those 4 topics and see what exactly I mean by each of them. Let me just fix my slides here very quickly. Sorry about that. I'm back online. So let's first look at results. Results is about a point of view we are using to look at our work. We can actually see our work just as a job, which means we come in morning, we leave in the evening, and that's it. We just take money and leave. That's it for us. There is nothing more for the work. Or we can see our work as a career, which means there is a longer term view, that we are looking for promotion and for more money, and that we see that we can actually grow inside the work, which is much better than the first one, but still there is more. We can also see our work as a calling, which means that it's part of ourselves. There is a meaning behind it, and we are part of that meaning. And that's the ultimate goal, maybe, where we should at least aim and try to find ways how to do it. So what can we do about it? First, let's see it from a little different perspective. This is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and on that hierarchy, you can nicely see this division of the way you look at your job. Either it's only job, it's career, or it's a calling. How to start moving to the higher levels of the need. There is a nice book by Simon Sinek, which you can check out, which is called Start With Why. And that's one of the key points of the results part of happiness at work. which means that you really need to see the meaning behind what you do at work. And the way Simon describes it very nicely is that you should first focus on why are you doing what are you doing at work. Then you can start working on how you do it, and then the third thing is what exactly are you doing. And it seems like many very successful companies are looking at the world of work exactly this way. And maybe it's a little task for you just to try to think about the meaning of what you do and how is it connected to the bigger picture of the life and what do you do. There is many stories and studies showing that this focus on why and the meaning is quite important in how we feel. This one is from a hospital in New Jersey, where there was a team of janitors who've been just cleaning in the hospital. It seems like just cleaning ladies. But in one of the teams, they were doing considerably a better job than in any other team. When they did deep interviews with people in this team, they noticed that they are not talking about their job just as like we just have to clean the hospital, then we can leave and it's finished for us. Their view of the job was that our job as a cleaners here in the hospital is very significant for the hospital, because if it's absolutely clean in the hospital, there is no infection spreading in the hospital, and people actually feel better in very clean environment, and actually helps people to spend less time in the work or in the hospital. Sorry. And that's exactly what completely changed the way they approach their work, because they knew why they should be cleaning the hospital, because it was part of bigger picture. Little online tool I'm using actually every month for this is Evernote. You can use any other notebook, digital or not digital, where I have this set of questions, and every month I try to stop and think about those questions. And what this does exactly this. Every month I'm trying to disconnect from day-to-day work, from what I do every minute, every hour, and connect to the bigger picture of what I want to achieve in longer term, in longer view. And just stopping like that every month, doing a little retrospective for yourself, for your life, is the best way to start with why. And you can do it as well as I do. The second important thing is strength. Martin Seligman is founder of positive psychology, or one of the big people in positive psychology movement. He was actually a leader of American Psychological Organization when the positive psychology thing started to be something much bigger. And many of his studies were around using strengths. And he showed in the studies that people who are using strengths, the things they are good at, they felt much better at work. In his study, for example, in this one, there are two columns. The black one is the control group, and the yellow one, the black one is the group of people who've been using their strengths for a couple of weeks. The yellow one is the control group. And the comparison here shows that people who were focusing on using their strengths showed lower symptoms of depression in very long term. It was 6 months actually in this study. So even using strengths even makes you less depressed and thus happier at work. And there are many digital or not digital tools for this. The nice one is the one by VIA Institute, which is by Martin Seligman. He's standing behind that. And on viacharacter.org, you can do actually a little questionnaire which will help you identify your strengths, the things that are important for your character, and the things that you should be looking for in your day-to-day job. Another tool you can find online, which is paid actually, is Gallup. It's called Clifton Strengths, which is big questionnaire. You can fill it, and after filling the form, you will get the results of what are probably your strengths, and finding ways of focusing on those strengths in your daily work is one of the best ways to be happier at work and to see the connection between results and meaning and things like that. The process of this, the connecting my strengths to my daily job, is called job crafting. There are nice studies by Amy Wierzemski and Jane Dutton showing that you can actually do a lot to change your job to be better fit for your strengths. Part of the results area is also flow, because spending some time in the flow state, you probably know it if you do any sports, makes us happy. That's what was proved by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi in 75, many years ago, and we still don't believe that we still think that the best way to be happy is to spend a day on the beach and just do nothing. It's not true. In the study, Mihaly showed that people who spend couple blocks of time during the day in flow state, where they actually are building something, they are just on the edge of learning and doing something they are very good at. That's much better way, and people doing this consider their day much better. They've been much more satisfied with the day than people who did nothing, just enjoyed the day. There is a nice picture where to find the flow state, but there is many materials we can find around it. And there is also many digital tools we can use for spending time in flow. My favorite way is to use the so-called tomato timers. It's Pomodoro technique, so-called, which says that you should try to focus on one thing for limited amount of time. And they offer starting with 25 minutes, which is a great idea, because it doesn't seem like very big amount of time. But if you just set a timer for those 25 minutes and tell to yourself and say to yourself that, okay, now I'm going to use this 25 minutes to focus on the task I decided to focus on. I will switch off notifications. I will not be available on calls or emails. I will just focus on for those 25 minutes. Then it's very likely that you will actually spend most of the time in flow state. And there is big background why it works like that, and why there is a good idea to start with smaller time frames than just like don't try to start with 4-hour flow state. Try starting with 20-25 minutes. A very nice app actually for this is called Forest, where whenever you decide to focus, you seed a little tree, and the tree is growing during those 25 minutes. And if you start using your phone during those 25 minutes, the tree dies, and nobody wants the tree to die in today's. And they're doing many nice things as well in the background. But this actually helps your brain to focus on dopamine gained from growing the trees and spending the time in the flow. Little nice toy. And there are also apps that will help you stay in the flow state, like, for example, generators of music. One of them is Brain FM, and there is many others. And it all comes to intrinsic motivation, as Daniel Pink is describing it in his nice book Drive, where he shows that there are 3 things we need to be internally motivated, and it seems to be the only way to be motivated is to be internally positively motivated by yourself, and that's autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Those 3 things, and we'll be talking about those in the next minutes as well. And there are many tools that help you organize yourself, but let's move little faster forward. The last element of results part, which we are in now, is visualization. Seeing the results. It's great to achieve the results, but it's as important as achieving the results is to see those results. And many companies, even in manufacturing, notice that it's important to show people the results, not only to let them program their code, but to also show them how their code is helping people to do whatever they need to do with the apps, for example, or the tools they are building. SRC is manufacturing company. This is another manufacturing company from Czech Republic, and both those companies did started focusing on connecting people with the result they are achieving. So people started to understand, okay, if I do this job very well, it means that this number does this, and it's connecting to this other number, and they started to understand the whole picture of the company. And suddenly people started understanding the why behind that, and also the way they can be part of the bigger picture of the company, just by showing the results and connecting the dots inside the company. And there are many tools offline and online for this. And you can just start with a little dashboard showing you how many bugs did you have in your code, or how many people is using your application, and just visualizing those things is one of the great steps you can do for being happier at work through showing the results. And of course, you can do retrospectives. I do for myself, we do for our teams, and there is many many other topics we could dive into. But let's jump to other big area, which is relationships. Usually in the companies, when we talk about relationships, it looks like this. We just put somewhere on the wall the org chart and we say, okay, this is the org chart, and it shows all the relationships we have in the company. And then suddenly the reality comes, which usually looks a little different than what we saw on the org chart. There is many more connections and various uh, different things people are connecting around inside the company. And this is actually the hierarchy that transforms the company. This is something that is moving the company maybe even stronger than the official hierarchy we have in the org chart. And there is, of course, way we can use this for better, not just to try to avoid it and tell people not to connect other ways than we have in the org chart. The better way is maybe what we did in Avast. We built something we called Avast Grow Show, which was like peer-to-peer learning platform where anyone could offer a course of anything for other peers in the company. And then people suddenly started connecting not only during the meetings they needed for a job, but they started meeting around the topics like uh, card tricks or I don't know what was there, golf classes and flying with drone classes. And people started connecting across the company. And then suddenly you see people not only as the points in the org chart, but it's human beings. They're starting to have shapes and colors, and you start to connect with people in many different ways, which makes it easier to work together. And again, there is many studies showing that having someone close in the work, or not only at work, of course, but it applies for work as well. For example, reduces stress. This was a nice study where they put people in fMRI, in magnetic resonance, and they've been watching what is happening in their brains when people are stressed. There've been two groups of people. In one group, people came for the measuring by themselves, and they watched how long did it take to just take care of the stress reduction in the brain. In the other group, people came with someone close, with their friend or someone from job, someone they've been close to, and what they've seen on physical level in the brain was that the stress was handled much better in the people who've been there with someone close, someone socially connected. Which again shows you that if you have someone close in your workplace, in your office, then you are much better handling stress, for example. And there are many other advantages. There was, for example, a big study by Google, which was called Project Aristotle, where they've been looking at what makes the most effective teams at Google. And what they found out is that it wasn't the teams with the best structure or the teams with the biggest goals. It were teams with so-called psychological safety, teams where people are connected, where people can support each other, where people are working together towards the goal and support each other and feel safe at work as a human beings. Two big areas of building relationships at work are, on one side, gratefulness, seeing that you can be grateful for many things, and there is many exercises you can do for that. I will show you an app for that as well. And kindness, helping others, people makes you feel better and also helps you build the relationships. And there was a nice study done by Sonia Lubaminsky showing that people who are focusing on kindness are producing more serotonin, which is one of the hormones we have in brains, which makes us feel better. Just by helping others, we feel better, and we also help someone, and we build relationships as well. Uh, let's look at a couple of digital tools we can use for those things. One of them is a British non-profit organization, which is called Action for Happiness. They are every month they are doing a calendar of happiness. You can actually check it out on their website. And for every day there is a tip about what can you do this day to be happier, to build better relationships at work, for example. And they of course have an app for that, which gives you tip for every day. You can build relationships on Zoom meetings as well. It works much better than just the phone calls, as you probably tried in past weeks and months. And there is much more, and we'll go back to it a little later. Last two areas in being happier, not only at work. So we had results, we had relationships. Now we'll look at growth and habits, which is quite a big thing in this area, because that's the best way you can change your life actually by changing your habits, your daily habits, and growing this way. To start, I will start with the studies and background which Carol Dweck is giving us. And she wrote a nice book which is called Mindset. And Carol Dweck is talking about two ways we can see the life or the world around us. We can have either growth mindset or fixed mindset. Growth mindset is when there is a challenge in front of us. We see it as opportunity to learn something new. Even if we fail in the challenge, we know we will learn something new. If we have fixed mindset and there is a challenge, we'll rather avoid the challenge. We will not do it because we can fail and it wouldn't be good for us. And we can actually change this mindset in ourselves by the way we think, and just starting to believe that you can have the growth mindset, and that's a way to help you grow and learn new things is the first big step you can do. It of course starts with you being a little child, but it can be changed even in the adulthood. With the kids, they are most flexible, and teaching kids about growth mindset is very useful. If you have kids, please read the book and try to help your kids to have growth mindset. But with adults, we can do the same. And the most important part of this is focusing not on results, not only on results, but on the process, showing people that the process is important as well as the result. This means that even if we fail, if the result isn't perfect, we can still grow and learn new things. And it seems like from studies by Carol Dweck that people with growth mindset are the most happy in their lives and are most successful in their jobs actually as well. And there are more and more companies which are also focusing on the growth of the whole companies. They call themselves deliberately developmental organizations which are focused on growing, on helping people to grow and learn new things. So it's like growth mindset organizations. There are some examples. For example, Charlie Kim is from IT company Next Jump, I think from New York, and he says that we use business as a platform to build people of higher character. So the purpose of their company is to help people grow, and that's a nice example of this. It seems like our mindset is set by 50% by our genes, and the other 50% is set by what we do. It's actually divided by our environment, which is 10%, and the last 40% is our point of view. And we can change that a lot. It depends only on us. There is, of course, term you've probably heard, which is neuroplasticity, which says that even after we are adult and getting older, our brain is still neuroplastic. It still changes its structure depending on how we think about things. And there was a nice study by Marty Seligman, which was a very simple thing. He told people to write 3 good things every day, 3 good things they went through every single day for 21 days. Try this at home and we will see what he saw in his study, that after those 21 days, there was actually change in the structure of the brain, and people also started seeing their life as better, as more fulfilling, because they've been focusing on the positive things, positive side of the things. We are very good in focusing on negative things. It's called negativity bias, and there are ways, and this is one of them, to change this, to rewire our brain to grow, to think about the things that can move us forward. And again, we've mentioned habits a couple times, and this is like below this. How can we grow? Well, we can grow by building habits that will help us grow. And in habits, there are many terms we can look into. Let's look in from the other side. There was a nice study again at Google, actually, when they've been trying to motivate people to don't drink those unhealthy drinks like Coke, and motivate them to drink like fresh and water and things that are better for your health. What they did is only little change in the fridges. Instead of having the Coke on the eye level, on the first line of what you see when you are walking around the fridge, they moved the Coke and other unhealthy drinks to the bottom drawer, which you don't see when you are walking around. And they've put the healthy drinks on the top level, which you see on your eye level. And of course, result was that people started drinking those healthy drinks much more than before. And it's all about activation energy, I mentioned before, because it takes more energy just to think about the coke and to bending and taking it from the bottom drawer. It's much easier just to take the healthy drink, which is there on arm's reach. And this is actually the way to build, or the easiest way to build a habit. There was a nice story by a guy who was speaking about him trying to build a habit of running. And every evening he was like, okay, I'm going to run in the morning. It will be easy. And then when he woke up in the morning, he was like, yeah, it's too much work. I have to change my clothes, change my shoes and everything. I would rather not run. What he did to start running was he made the activation energy of the running lower. So he actually put on his running clothes in the evening. He went to sleep with in his running not shoes probably, but in his running clothes. And in the morning when he woke up, it was like, okay, I'm in running shoes and running clothes. Now it's easier actually to go run than to change myself and do something else. And that's how we actually switched to start running, because it was easier for him suddenly to start running rather than not running. And that's around everything. For example, if we talk about apps, we can build some obstacles, apps we don't want to use, we can build some obstacles for ourselves to increase the activation energy needed for us to start the apps. There is something called 20 seconds rule, which says when it takes more than 20 seconds to do some negative habit, we'll rather not do it. And the same way on the positive side. If it's less than 20 seconds to start doing the positive habit we are trying to build, we will more likely do it when rather than if it's more than 20 seconds. And there is a nice book about that by Sean Acher about the habits and growth, which is called The Happiness Advantage. The last stop, or two apps I will show you, which I'm using for building my habits. One is Freedom, which is app that actually on the set schedule, it can block some websites. It sets your proxy, and then you are blocked from accessing some website. It's of course, as we know, it's possible to change it, although it's not straightforward, but it probably takes more than 20 seconds to change it. And how I use it is that every evening at 10:30 p.m. My freedom starts, and it blocks me from connecting to Facebook and to all social networks and YouTube and things like that. The things that I usually do use just for procrastination, and in the times where I should rather go sleeping, when there is no energy, I just start looking at Facebook timelines, and that's where my freedom starts. And it actually makes it very difficult for me to go to Facebook, and I rather not do it and go sleep or read the book. The app I'm using for building my habits is a Way of Life. There is many habits app you can find. And it's usually very simple. You just set the habits you want to build every day, and then in the evening you just check everything you did that day. Very little things. For me, is like 10-minute meditation every day. And with few habits like that, it grows more and more, and you are building those habits. Just very brief stop at health, because as you remember, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it starts on the very bottom level, and that's actually where the health comes in. It's and it's because it's very difficult to think about self actualization and your needs if you are not fulfilled on the very basic level. If your health is not good, for example. And around the health, we can talk about food, which is important element, of course. There are great books and great apps. For example, I'm using sometimes Zero, which is not about eating but about not eating. It seems like fasting is one of the great ways of approaching your food, to not eat all the time. And there is many fitness apps which motivate you to track your food, for example, or which motivate you to move. And many studies showing that movement is of course healthy, as we would expect. And my favorite apps for that are Seven for my daily exercises, which is one of the habits actually I'm trying to build now. I now have about 35 days of daily exercises, which seems to be almost the habit. A few more days and I'll be there. And Strava, which I use for my running and bike trips, and motivating with my friends and connecting with them. Two other big elements of health are, on one side, is sleep, and maybe you've seen the book Why We Sleep, which is great. And there was some controversy around the book that it's not so black and white that it seems to be in the book, but definitely sleep is one of the key elements in healthy life, and there are again apps for tracking your sleep, and there is hardware, you probably know, Oura for not only sleep tracking. And the other thing is, or the last thing is mindfulness or health of your mind. Many people think that mindfulness is just this, sitting and like calmly and just focusing on your breath. It's not true. Mindfulness is actually part of our daily lives. You can just mindfully walk outside, or mindfully eat, or mindfully cook. And mindfulness is more about focusing on the things that you actually want to focus at, and not just flying away with your thinking from what you are doing at every given moment, which is again a way of getting into the flow state and being in the present moment. That's the mindfulness you can practice on daily basis, not only by sitting on your chair. My favorite app, which helped me start my mindfulness practice, is Headspace, which gives you little guided meditations where this guide will walk you through what you should do, and this way you will learn step by step. And there is many other apps you can use for the same. So we've seen the big elements which helps us be happier, not only at work, but of course the same applies for home as well. It was results on one side, and meaning, purpose, things like that. Relationships on the other side, which is connecting with people and build and be kind and grateful. Then we've been talking about growth and habits, which help us build and grow towards those goals. And on the bottom level, there was health. And there is, as you have seen, many digital tools we can use for those areas. And there is also the dark side of the digital tools. It can be used for positive, but also for negatives. For negative. So in last few minutes, let me share you or point out a couple of dangers of digital lives we have now, and maybe if we will get to the prevention of those things. So there are some funny and some more to think about things. One surprising for me was actually that our mobile phones have. There was a study on, I think, Estonian university or school, that there is more germs on your smartphone than there is on the toilet seat. There is more dangerous to leak your smartphone rather than leaking the toilet seat. So that's one of the dangers of digital tools we use on daily lives. And there is many physical impacts, of course, neck syndrome or thumb arthritis or tired eyes, which is caused by blue light, which is emitted by displays we are using daily for those digital tools, which also builds sleep issues because it decreases production of melatonin, one of the hormones that helps us go to sleep, and the displays is exactly what doesn't help us. And of course, the biggest danger is addiction. It seems like if you put these two things on one picture, it seems like the white powder is way more dangerous than smartphone in terms of addiction. But maybe it's not the case, because in smartphone actually the content is unlimited, unlike the white powder. It's usually free, or at least free in, like, air quotes. And also the apps in your smartphone are usually adaptable, unlike the white powder, which means that can be really highly addictive. And they are actually aiming at the very same mechanisms in your brain, usually the dopamine cycle in your brain. So those digital tools can be actually very addictive, which can be very dangerous if you don't think about it and don't realize that. So it seems like the Maslow hierarchy we've used a couple of times, it wasn't complete. It should look like this, or maybe even like this. And there is many things we can look into and see that nowadays the digital tools help us to compare with people around the world, not only with the closest one, which is one of the biases called the reference point, that we are still comparing to someone, and we can always find someone better and better looking and with better vacation on Instagram, for example. And it causes us to echo chambers, and it actually disconnects us from the real life. Like, this lady on this picture is the only one who is present in the moment and maybe mindful rather than anyone in the on the picture. So what can we do last minute about prevention? We can train boredom. Try to walk out without your phone, without the easy dopamine you have all the time in the pocket. And just training like this is a great help. Cole Newport has a great book about that called Deep Work, about training to dive deeper and to not be distracted by notifications and try and to actually dive deeper into what you do. There is Pomodoro technique we've been talking about, but it all starts with measuring. And there are great tools in both Android, iOS, and other operating systems that help you measure how you use your device and what you do on the device. And the measuring is the first step towards prevention. Then, of course, notifications is a big topic. I myself have notifications allowed only for SMS or for text messages and phone calls, nothing else. And everything else is disconnected from my phone. So if I want to see messenger messages, I have to go into the app and see the messages there. And there is no notification, no badge, nothing like that for me. Of course, the blue light we've been talking about, you can switch on the blue light filters on your devices, any of them. The app for computers is called f.lux, and it actually, as the sun goes down, it actually makes your screen less and less blue. So there is less blue light, and then your sleep is better, because with the blue light just before you go to sleep, it's very unnatural for us. And of course, you can not only go there, but one step further to switch on the great gray filter on your phone. When the colors are disabled, it's very easy to set up on your iPhone, and I believe in Android as well. And then it's not so nice to work on your device. It doesn't grab your attention all the time. You just do what you need, and then you leave your phone. Try it. It's a very nice experiment for a couple of days. It seems like people often show this picture compared to this one, and it seems like it's the same today as 100 years ago. But as you see in the slide, there is a huge difference between guys looking into phones and looking into newspapers. Because after you finished your newspaper, you just put it away, and that's it, and you are finished. But you never read your Facebook timeline till the end, or your Instagram timeline. It's unlimited. It's growing, and never ending. And that's one of the big dangers. So that's exactly what I did. I removed all the unlimited apps from my phone. There is no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing like that. And now I again increase the activation energy for going into those apps, which is prevention for me to go there. And of course, we can set up app limits in our devices and things like that. That's it from my talk. Last 3 slides are, we've been looking into 4 elements. One was results, which we should focus on. The other was relationships. The third part is growing your habits and focusing on your growth and learning new things. And the last one was the health as the bottom line. And we should always think about focusing on all those 4 things. We shouldn't focus only on one of those, because then we will not be happy with it. There will be disbalance between those. And there are big dangers in the digital, although there is many things that can help us, but we can use it cautiously and mindfully maybe. But we can prevent most of the things maybe by adding some activation energy and really thinking about what we do at any given moment with our digital devices. And that's it from my talk. Thank you very much for staying with me. There is my email, or let's connect on LinkedIn, and I'm ready for questions if there is any.
Yes. Thank you very much, Michal. Unfortunately, you've used all of your time for talk and also the Q&A. But we have one question, so we'll just have this one question, and then
Very
we'll
fast.
send you to the speakers corner. Thank you so much for very inspirational talk. There was a lot of pointers to resources. Will you share the slides or hand out material so that I can easily return to them later? From Tom B.
Yes, I will be happy to. I'm thinking about the best way to share those slides. So if you are still watching, just connect me on LinkedIn, and I'm very happy to send you all the slides and materials, and I have some lists of books and TED Talks and things like that. And we'll also try to share it maybe with some other materials after the conference, somewhere on the website. We'll try to do that. And I'm very, very happy to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michal. This was Michal Šrajer with his happiness at work in the digital era. Once again, it was absolutely exhausting material and talk. It was spectacular. I love that. I'm pretty sure all of our audience also. Unfortunately, we cannot see you, but we were told there's hundreds of us, and we're counting the views in thousands now. Right now, I'm gonna send Michal to the speakers corner, and because he's probably the only speaker in the venue today, we're in the same building, as you can see from the decor. So I'm gonna send Michal to the speakers corner to talk to you, to have a discussion with. You can have a discussion with him, ask him the questions which you didn't have the chance to ask him right now, because it was so long talk. It was brilliant, full of
Sorry about
information.
that.
No,
Okay, I'm
there's
going to cast the stage speaker's corner and
don't
see you there.
apologize. It was perfect. But I'm gonna send you to the speakers corner. Then also don't forget to vote, or not to vote, but rate that Michal's talk. It's on Slido Castle stage, and we'll have a short break, and we're gonna come with another speaker very shortly. Thank you very much, Michal.
Okay, see you in the virtual world. Bye bye.